Howdy, Heroes Hearth. This is Kyle Fergusson from Into the Nexus podcast, and I'm here with the new tank hero, MEI, an Overwatch hero, but we got a new tank for Heroes of the Storm. And she's got the kitchen sink. She kind of has it all. She's a mix of Johanna and ETC with a little bit of Slowy Jaina in there. It's gonna be a complicated hero, but it can tank. We've got an unstoppable. We've got a stun. We got slows, we got a blind, we have building disable, we have self-heal. The only thing we're really lacking in a first impression sort of area is any sort of lane clear, siege damage, if you will. As for how much damage you're going to do to the enemy team, that's going to be up for debate and up for which heroic you're going to pick. But already a combo of engagement is being established. I can see it in my mind. So let's start first with the cryo freeze, the unstoppable. Here you're going to jump inside some ice for 3 seconds and get a shield. While the shield is active, you are unstoppable, and you gain 35% of your max health over that time. So this shield is the unstoppable. As you can see there, if the shield breaks early, the unstoppable breaks early. But it's gonna be a lot of healing if they don't stop it. And you can imagine, being that you aren't phased out, you're not in stasis, you're able to absorb attacks. You are going to absorb gleaming orbs for your team while you hide out and get your health back. She's a very, very snappy hero, so all of these animations are very, very quick. Icing is your primary engage. Slide quickly in the targeted direction. And with this, you can go through people. So we don't have a blaze situation here where people can stop you, really. Of course, you're not unstoppable for this slide, so if you try to go through a Malfurion route, you'll be interrupted in that way. But activating it stops it early, or when it ends, you slow by 80% rapidly decaying, and you deal tiny bits of damage. I'm not really concerned about her damage. By the way, anyone concerned about damage, you can see her auto attack here is that icicle. So we're not going to have to worry about headshots. For now, there's a whole auto attack build that might be possible, and it might be good. So we have our hero here, and we want to isolate them into our team and slow them. You can see on the slow here that it's a pretty decent slow at 80%, but does decay rapidly back up. Next up, we have the Blizzard. Command Snowball, your robot, to create a blizzard in the target location for 2 seconds. This slowly builds up to a 35% slow and then explodes into a stun. And that stun lasts for 1.25 seconds, so pretty decent. Combo's already coming apparent, right? Like, we're gonna keep them in the blizzard by smacking them back, imagining they're running away. Or if they weren't running away and we want to keep them inside, we can end this early and make sure that they're inside. As long as you're inside any part of the blizzard, they will receive the stun. So that's not going to be an issue. But it does stack up to 35%. So we can use our snow blind to get that 35% out early and make sure that they are slowed so they stay inside the actual blizzard. Worth noting right now, it is snowing in the game. MEI does not have any passive shields. This is actually part of those weather effects they're adding as the anomaly. Everyone's going to love them, I'm sure. Everyone loves random weather effects, of course. No one's going to debate that. All right, so our initial engage combo is starting to look something like, and let's go and grab this. We got a 35% slow. We're going to get that blizzard going on top of them. And to make sure, kind of power slidey, but with no stun, they stay inside the blizzard. We'll give them a knockback into it, imagining they're running away. So, slow, replace the slow, and continue it with the blizzard into the stun, and we have an isolated hero. Now, of course, we're doing this with cooldowns on right now, so if we were to turn those off and look at this in a more real gameplay kind of style, we're going to see that we're a little isolated on the other side after we perform this combo, but that's what you might need to use your cryo freeze for. And dodge any damage, and then make your way back to your team. A lot of these talents are situational, they're utility, they're about increasing your tank ability. Quite a few of them do increase your own damage. Like we can get Ice Storm here, which is almost Mephisto levels of damage style. Every third hit from the Blizzard deals bonus damage. and the stun damage is increased. Now, the third hit only works on heroes, and the stun works on lanes, but let's go ahead and get a lane out here, because you're not gonna be doing a lot of lane clear. I don't think we're gonna be Tomb of the Spider Queen Johanna, but that doesn't mean, you know, a tank can take over a lane pretty decently. I'm not seeing her in the solo lane right now, though. You're not gonna be very fast at it. It's gonna be a little messy. And your Snow Blind is also pretty low damage as well. But we get that cleared out. We can increase the duration of the slow. We can get a little auto attack business going on here. And there's a way to just constantly keep this auto attack going as we go. Let's skip ahead, though, to 4, because that's where the talent gets really interesting. Because there we're going to have Slush Ball. Snow Blind deals 50% increased damage, and structures hit are disabled for 3 seconds. There's no signal that this is active. They don't turn off Sylvana style. We've got a little bit of ice ball action there, but otherwise they just stop working, which is kind of sneaky. Anytime an auto attack or any ability can't really be seen, it's got some sneaky attributes too, and the enemy won't know what's going on. The other thing that's interesting is that they've updated the previous anomaly so that the towers here do not have the aggro anymore. They also got rid of the armor debuff. But we can use this to get rid of, and I'm just going to spam down this lane real quick and get us in range of the tower. But we can use this to turn off the tower aggro to reset it. And that's very interesting. Let's get a Nubarak out here. We'll beat him up a little bit. So here we have our fort, and we're going to make it mad by attacking him. If I snowblind that, and I still hang out in this duration, I've reset the target aggro. Making our way quickly up, you're also going to see some talents to get some spell armor, which work perfectly into that Leeming Orb situation we talked about. There is the Cold Front talent that allows you, as long as you touch any part of the blizzard while icing, to reduce its cooldown by 7 seconds. So we can start to imagine that engage we just talked about becoming a lot more doable as we engage the backline, maybe hide inside of our cryo freeze here for the final second, and then disengage should that go wrong. We also have things like Backup Battery, which is an orb talent, but also maximum health 20%. We can increase our overall self-healing with higher levels, so there's a lot of self-healing in this kit, should you want to go this way. Check out this Zul'jin killer. When icing ends, MEI and all nearby allies gain 20% movement speed and 50% physical armor.
Choose a talent.
That's wild. It's speed metal, but you get physical armor with it to get back on there on those auto attackers. There's a level 7 reduced damage ability, 40%. I mean, we're talking, these are normally around like 13 or 16. And if they get stuck in the stun, 4 seconds more on that reduced damage. And this is just 40% reduced damage. That's pretty incredible. But what really interests me is Avalanche. Now, of course, this is a little bit of a Tassadar black hole situation. Ice Wall is, of course, going to be fabulous, but that in a moment. Right now, you've got yourself a Haymaker.
Sure.
You've got yourself a pop them back and then embed them deep in the team. For each hero you hit, you increase the duration of the stun on the other side. So this one hero, he took 0.5. But we head down here, and we hit all 3 of these heroes, we're getting up to that 1.5. What an amazing way to isolate somebody. And if we did our full combo here, we can imagine how they're going to be pretty locked down, stunned for that little bit, and then we complete the stun, embedding them deep, deep in our team. The nice thing about our ice wall here is that it is targetable on a radius. It's a full stasis, so they're not going to be targetable inside of it. This is also full terrain, so you won't be able to get in a position. But that means you're able to use it to maybe freeze the back line and, again, isolate the front line. That's where my brain keeps going. Not that we want to be targeting tanks all the time. We know this. But it is interesting that we could do it so effectively with so many stuns and maybe a decent amount of damage as time goes on. We could also do this in reverse, where we try to isolate the front line back while we get back on this guy and mess him up. Again, our ability to mess up is probably Johanna level, so go with a grain of salt on that one. As you get higher in level, you are going to notice some stacking talents, particularly when it comes to this level 1 heat transfer. Basic attacks against stun, rooted, or slowed enemies deal 33% more damage. You also get a little bit of health out of it. So we might want to cast our Blizzard to give ourselves an attack speed increase with those crits. We might want to
choose a talent.
Always have a slowing attack speed here. You also have this recovering 200% faster basic ability, so if you're hiding in that back line, waiting to re-engage with that combo, it's now going to be a little smoother, being that we can embed the enemy, dodge all the auto attacks, and then 100% guarantee ourselves that slide out with the stacking cold front. There's also a polar vortex, which is basically a ice version of imposing presence here. The fresh powder here makes me very interested, though, to get that second stack and put it alongside our slush ball. So maybe we can be disabling buildings more often, or for a full 6 seconds. Even longer if we sort of stagger it well. We have a little bit of knockback. We have accumulation, which is a very interesting talent here, which allows you to basically become a self-healing machine. Each time MEI stuns or slows an enemy hero, the damage she deals and heals that she receives increased by 1%, stacking up to 20 times. So as long as you're, and even if you combo this with your polar vortex, we can start getting that small AoE going, very easily build up to that bonus 20% healing. We're dealing more damage as well, and we get the 10 armor. And it works with our percent-based healings like Cryo Freeze and our backup battery. It definitely feels like MEI's power spike is around that 10 or maybe even 13 mark. 16 is kind of a weird damage stacking, basically establish the build you've already built. And at 20, your abilities are going to empower your already good abilities further. Things like Cascade, that shoot snowblind snowballs ahead of itself, aren't very useful. At least, why would you want to be blinding people when they could go inside the snowball? We blind this guy to the side, so maybe it's more of a isolation tactic. We're kind of thinking a Johanna Valkyrie sort of situation here. And they are blind for a small amount at the very end there. The blind working longer than the stun. But it's kind of a weird talent. Certainly our Ice Wall talent, our Shatter, which now deals damage. So before, 0 damage on our level 10, which means you can use it in tower range without making them mad. But now it deals a pop of damage and 25% reduced armor. That's going to be a big deal. That's going to be your big esports combo, your big organized play business, where you're just going to delete everybody who was stuck inside that thing. The big one deals the exact same damage as the pop on Shatter. This is where you're snowblind every 15 seconds. So basically, every 2 snowballs is going to deal 200% increased damage, have a much larger area. I mean, we can see that real quick, but what a weird talent.
Choose a talent.
Maybe an extreme of having to blind a lot of people, but unsure on that one. And then Flash Freeze. This feels like your Johanna Indestructible. When MEI takes fatal damage, she instantly gains Cryo Freeze. This effect has a 180-second cooldown. Much like our Johannas, though, we want to make a really good engage for our team come level 20. We want to win the game. Why is the enemy targeting MEI so hard to the point where she would need 2 Cryo Freezes? Now, this may just be a feature of a try mode, or maybe a bug, maybe it's intentional. Right now, if you do not use your first Cryo Freeze and you hit your Flash Freeze level, you will also use your Cryo Freeze. So you can see that it takes the cooldown there for half a second. So what you'd want to make sure you do in that situation is, before you die, pop 1 Cryo Freeze, get the healing out of that, and then continue to fight until you get that next Flash Freeze as a level 20 talent.
Oh, what's over there?
But who doesn't like a bunch of slows? And they're pretty stackable. Of course, you know, we can grab that basic attack's always slow if we want to empower that Rainer or any sort of specialty talent versus slowed heroes. I think she's going to have a lot of viability in any map where there's chokes. I mean, Battlefield of Eternity being one of the old ETC populars, just because we're able to really isolate people and control that zone. People are going to be running out of this as fast as they can. The main goal of our other abilities will be to keep them slowed from the get-go or isolate them inside. As a solo queue player, the first place my brain goes is I want a haymaker. I want to use a basic combo to get them stunned, lined up, and while they're stunned, isolate them into my backline or into my towers so they can die. In that way, she's going to be a pretty darn healthy solo queue hero. I'm feeling her for tank, and with the unstoppable with the self-regeneration with a blind that you don't necessarily have to blind with. You can use this for other things like poking off mounts. At 35 mana, it is perfectly fine if you take her into a team that isn't auto-attack based, just like Johanna. And if you're going coordinated, I think that's when we start thinking about Ice Wall, right? Plus, this is that full terrain, so maybe Bruiser Diablo hanging out around this area? Maybe we combo it together with some other wall heroes like Ariel. I mean, if we're self-healing to such a degree, if we take things like backup battery, this could add up to a lot of self-healing, and Ariel could be busy with other people. I think she has it all. Shatter is where we're going to go eventually, but right now, let's kill some people with Avalanche. What kind of talent build combos have you discovered with MEI? What do you think is going to be her primary build? What sort of heroes do you think she combos well with? Write in the comments below. I was Kyle Fergusson. Be sure to like and subscribe here at Heroes Hearth and ring that bell. I'll see you next time.